Morning, folks. It's a nice, sunny, breezy 8 degrees out. And you can't imagine what somebody just said to me. I've got my apron on, right? Some of you recognize and know what this apron is for. Well, even though it was cold and breezy, I thought I might do a duck in today. But I've changed my mind. Because the longer I'm out here, the colder I'm getting, and it's just going to be too cold on the hands. But I was out here, and there's a couple of ducks that I need to get rid of. Out here, just looking over my birds, making sure those two are the ones that I want to get rid of. They're two last year's male, and I like to do my male ducks, my male Muscovies at about 3 months, but they're still good up to a year, folks. So, my phone rang, and I don't get reception out here very often, but I saw it was somebody that I knew, so I answered the phone, and they must have had ESP or something, because they asked me if I was going to do any birds in today, and they'd like to have a bird to eat in a couple of days. Just like I was a store, I'm a come and get it, I have birds, and just put your order in right now, and I'll do all the work, and then you can have a bird, right? Didn't offer to pay for it, didn't offer to exchange anything for it. I'm not going to spend all this time getting up early in the morning and tending to my birds, going out in the middle of the night. There's a predator around. I'm keeping the water thawed so they can drink, and paying ungodly amount of money for feed. I'm not going to keep them healthy and do all of this work for somebody else to come and put their order in expecting a bird. And it's not just any bird. They wanted a duck. Not just any duck. They wanted a male duck. And times aren't even as hard as they're going to get, folks. I can just imagine what that person is going to be like when things get really tough. If they're being that way now, what are they going to be down the road? They just going to come and pick out their own bird and say, okay, I want that one right there, and you do all the work, and I'll just bring it home and, eat it. That's not how it works, folks. It's not how it works. Feeding birds right now, especially in the winter, is not cheap. Okay, it's not only the grain, it's in order for me to give them fresh water. I live without running water, folks. Okay, it's not like I can just, bring a bucket inside and fill it inside under the faucet. Okay, I have to haul my water. Okay, and I have to do that every other day, fill 4 or 5 gallon buckets, 10 gallons a day. And then every 2 days I have to do it all over again. It's not as simple as drawing water. So, but they know how I live. They know that, in order for me to get water, it's a lot of work. So, that's where we're headed, folks. That's where we're headed. And I told them no. No, I thought about it. It's too cold, but that's beside the point. That's beside the point. And I don't mind doing that, toward the end of the season. And if I've got still too many birds that I need to process and I'm running out of time, because I do my canning outside, and, when it gets down to 50 degrees, it's too cold to can outside. So, if I'm running out of time and I still got too many birds, I don't mind giving those birds away, and I have before. Every fall, late summer and early fall, I do give chickens and ducks away, because I just can't keep up with them, and I don't want to go into winter with that many birds. So I do give them away, but don't think because I gave you one bird a couple of years ago and you want a duck feast that you're going to come in here and just say, you know, I want that bird right there and I need it by the end of the day, and I don't get it, folks. I just don't get it. So, I'm going to add on to the video that I did a little bit earlier. It's warmed up now. Now I've got a rooster chasing the geese. You know, when you tell somebody no, and you do it in a polite way, and then they come to your house, you've already spoken to them on the phone, right? Then an hour and a half later, you're in the woodshed and you're doing your thing in there, and you hear tires on the snow in the driveway, and they pull in, and then they beep. They beep. They didn't see me in the woodshed. Well, I peeked out between the slats here on the other side, and there he was. There he was. So I didn't know if he maybe come to apologize or maybe to explain a little bit. So he beeped again, and I'm like, I'm going to have to deal with it. So I walked out, met him in the driveway. He was still sitting in his comfortable heated vehicle, you know. I'm out in the wind and cold, and he said he wanted to explain something, all right, but he wanted to explain that he wasn't interested in the whole dock. He wanted just the breast meat off from a young male Muscovy. Just the breast meat. Okay, that's the best part of the dock. Okay, the breast meat, you cut them into steaks. Really, really good. It's all red meat. That's the best part of the dock, folks. And he wanted just the breast meat. So if I was going to do a duck in, that he wanted the breast meat, and I could keep the carcass, and I could keep what little meat's on the wings, and I could keep the legs. Well, the legs and carcass is still good, because you can make soup and all that out of it. So it's still good, but it's not a steak, folks. It's not the best part of the dock. So he said he wanted to clarify that he didn't want a whole dock. He just wanted the breast meat. Well, the breast meat on a male Muscovy is pretty big. A lot of meat, okay? And I said, I can't do that. I can't do that. You're getting the best part of the dock, and you're leaving me with the scraps, basically. So he thought about that. And then he asked me if I had any breast meat jarred up in a jar that I canned this fall. Well, I didn't answer that question because that's none of his damn business what I've got on my shelf and what I don't have on my shelf. So he figured out that I wasn't going to answer that question because I just gave him the look, you know. He went on to tell me that when I do get around to doing a duck, that he would like the breast meat. So I went on to remind him, for one, how I have to deal with the water in the wintertime. It's not an easy chore, folks. You know, you get a 5-gallon bucket of water in each hand. That's 80 pounds. It's 40 pounds in each hand, right? And then I've got to haul it up through the ice and snow and keep it thawed and keep the dishes topped off. And what's going on with people, folks? I'm not a food bank. I'm not a food pantry. I'm not the welfare system. You know, those programs are really nice. I used to work at a food pantry. Really nice. But there's people that abuse that as well. When I worked into the food pantry, you had people come in and tell you how hungry they are and they haven't eaten in days, and so you hand them a box of food or maybe a couple boxes or a few bags, and then they set them right down on the floor and they pick over them. Well, I don't like that. Well, I'll never eat that. And they're going back with half a box full and just leaving the rest sitting right there. You know, and the worst complaint was that bread doesn't feel fresh. It's not fresh enough. And I used to remind them, listen, you can make French toast that makes really good French toast or stuffing. Well, they didn't want to bother with making stuffing out of that bread. They wanted the fresh stuff, you know, straight from the bakery. So there are people that will do a lot of things for something free. They'll work really hard to get something free. But the worst part of it all is they want it, but it's not good enough. If you're as hungry as you say you are, you would be thankful for that. I'm not doing a duck today, even though it's warmed up a little bit. I'm not doing a duck today. I'm not doing a chicken today. I'm not doing a guinea today. I'm not doing any birds today. Now, I do have to do a part 2 of the compost system because there's somebody that asked me to go into a little more detail on the compost, how I compost. And there's a part 1 down in the playlist. And there's somebody else that wanted me to, you see, I have buckets on the back of my woodshed here, and I have some buckets here. My bucket system, I need some clarification on what you want to know, because I use buckets for almost everything here. I have special buckets for water, I have special buckets for grain, I have special buckets for compost, composted compost, raw compost, bathroom compost. I have buckets of garden soil. I have many buckets for many purposes, and they're dedicated just to that one purpose. I don't mix my buckets up. So I need clarification on what you want to know about the buckets. Also going to get into more of the homesteading aspect of it, because that's what I am. I'm a small homestead. I grow my own food, and a lot of you already know this because you've seen my other videos. Have a good day, folks. Thank you for coming back. Appreciate it greatly. The comments are awesome. And if you're not going to be nice, please don't, you know, the old saying, if you're not going to say something nice, don't say anything at all. Well, I have to practice that too. But if you're going to leave my channel because you don't like what I say, you don't have to go out in all dramatic fashion and make this great big long post of how, first of all, you're judging me, okay? Just leave quietly. Just leave quietly.